right, welcome back, everybody, for some members first content. Members should get this sometime tonight once I'm done filming it, editing it, and then I'll get it right out for members. And everybody else can check this out probably tomorrow afternoon on Monday. Sitting down to film this right before I go hop over onto the live Tales from the Dark Side Star Wars show. So we'll see how quickly I can get this done. Hopefully you're enjoying this content as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see what books I'm keeping my eye on this week, it's just some of the incentives that are releasing, some of the covers that I like, some later printings I see dropping as well. I've ordered a bunch of these books. I'm keeping an eye on the rest. And if you want to see what I'm looking at, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. Okay, so this is the Wednesday watch list, and we are going to start off this week with some covers. This is actually a light week. I went through the whole allotment of books that are coming out. One, it seems a little lighter to begin with, and two, things that seem interesting to me are also on the lighter side as well. I might need to change this and add a reader category because there's a couple books that I plan to read this week, but I just didn't add them in because they didn't line up to any of the sections that I have. So I might need to do a reader section here as well because I think Nightwing's got a new issue coming out, and I'm definitely going to try to check that out this week as well. So that's a reminder as I'm sitting to film this, a reminder of something that I need to add to this. I need to add my reader segment. So that will be on the to-do list for next week. So keep an eye out for that. But as we're sitting here with covers, let's start in with the covers. A couple of these we talked about last night on Saturday Night Special. I hopped on with the fellas last night and joined the show for a bit. I had a lot of fun doing it, and they do a look ahead too for a lot of these covers and the comics coming out. They do a best and worst cover. It's a great little segment. They're already looking ahead, so they've already talked about a couple of these books and reminded me of these as well. And the first one being this one, which they had on one of the best covers coming out for next week. And this is a Betsy Cola Hellcat cover. I dig it. I like the color. I made sure I ordered one, so I do have one coming. So I dig this. I like this cover a lot. It's just something about it. It just catches the eye. The colors pop, the yellow. I think it's gorgeous. So glad that I was on the show last night and I got to see it before doing my regular rundown checks because it made sure I put it on my watch list, and I definitely am ordering it, like I said. Also, coming out from Marvel this week, there's a couple of covers that I actually did like from this Fury one-shot that we're getting. They're going to try to release Fury, give him a little bit of a push ahead of Secret Invasion, which will be dropping soon, which you guys know on Disney Plus. It seems to be a Nick Fury focused show. So we're getting a little bit more Nick Fury focus here in the comics as well. I dig this cover. I think this is technically the B cover. This is a Chris Samney cover. It's got like an old school throwback, Fury, Sergeant Rock type of deal. Like, I don't know. I like it. I like the throwback. I like it. But keep an eye out for it. This could be tough to find. Like I said, it's a one-shot, so stores may not order a lot of copies to begin with, and when they do order it, a lot of them will just leverage and just sit in and order A's and be like, you know what, we'll play it safe and get the A's. So some of these other variants may get under-ordered as a result. So this one in particular, when I was checking the list over on one of the shops, was one of the big places, Midtown, I think. Midtown, I think, was sold out of this already. So got to look elsewhere for that if you want to get it ahead of time. But I like this Samney cover, so I'm going to be looking for it on Wednesday. I want to check out the shop. Along with this one, which I also think is pretty cool. This is, the Nick Fury that you're more used to in the Disney Plus, the Sam Jackson look of Nick Fury. And this is a Mike Del Mundo cover, I think. And I just like how, and I've said it many, many times on this show. I like it when the trade dress is part of the image, like the interplay there with the buildings and Fury, and he's sitting amongst the building. I don't know. I like it. So I like this layout. I like this pose. I think it's pretty cool. So I'll also be looking for this. So this is potentially 2 Nick Fury books. I'm going to get 2 copies of the same issue because I like both covers. But then again, I might only get one. So that's why I didn't get it yet. We'll see what happens. When I'm at the shop, I'll look at them both. If I like them both, I'll take them both home. Otherwise, I'll pick which one I like best. Because, hey, like I'm sure many of you do, have a budget. So we got to live within our means and get what we can get within our budget. So sometimes tough choices have to be made. That said, another one I'm keeping an eye on, and because of one of those tough choices, I'm not reading this title. Tell me if I should be, but I'm just not very interested in this Hallows Eve character all that much. It just seemed like another goblin they were just throwing at us, so I haven't read a lot of Hallows Eve, but I do dig this cover. This feels perfect for Halloween. Like, I like it looks like the little, pumpkin head, little candy things that the kids carry around for trick-or-treating, with the devil and the little vampire it looks. So I like this layout Scotty Young's done here. This is Scotty Young cover, obviously, if you couldn't tell. So I like this one. I think it would fit better if this were released around Halloween, but I do dig this. I like this image. So I'm thinking about it, but I haven't committed to it, and I haven't pre-ordered it anywhere. But I do kind of like it. So I'm keeping an eye on it. We'll see what it looks like in hand. Up next, these icons have been hit and miss, but this is another one of those icon covers I kind of like. Granted, I do like Storm. As a character, I'm a fan of Storm, so I like this. It's hard to not do a good Storm cover, in my opinion. It's hard to mess up Storm, but here is a good cover. I like the yellows. I like the new trade dress is kind of cool. She got a new little logo for her name. Kind of dig it. And she has, as you can see here, a new series starting up with a new Storm #1. We're gonna have a couple of these. So this is the icon cover. The next one is a gorgeous Artrim cover. Darth Lopez brought this up on SNS last night, and yeah, I agreed with it. This is a great cover. I like Artrim though. I mean, if Artrim's not your cup of tea, you may not like this, but I like this cover. Like I said, I like the trade dress. I like the layout here. I'm gonna go look for this one as well. But we'll have more on this cover a little bit later because, as you might guess, we do have an incentive that's going to reuse this art. But we'll get to that later. Another Marvel book that I just kind of like it. Like I just saw it and I was like, you know what? This is a solid image. This is a solid coming right at you. Superhero pose, Warlock Rebirth, Noto, solid. This is just well done. I like it. She's flying right at you. Again, I haven't read Rebirth 1. I know there's a new female Warlock character. But I haven't had time to read it. I read as much as I can, but you guys, I can't read everything. So I try to take suggestions and do the best that I can to read the good stuff so I don't get, yelled at for bringing out all the bad comics for us to review on Wednesdays. But this one, haven't had a chance to get to yet. So tell me if this is worth a read. But I'll tell you, I do like this cover. So I might get one just for that alone, which will force me to have to go and flip through it and give it a read. But I should probably grab issue 1 as well. And that's what I got for Marvel as far as covers go that are not incentive based or any of these later printings. We're going to switch on over to DC, and DC also has a new character debuting this week, and that's this City Boy character. Don't know much about him yet, apart from he's on the Wildstorm side of things, the Wildstorm corner of the DC universe, and I believe he was first introduced in this 30th anniversary. Multiple covers to this book in particular. This is the Jim Lee one, but multiple covers for this Wildstorm 30th anniversary special. But inside this, there is the introduction to City Boy, who is very much like Jack Hawksmoor. If you read, like The Authority, he can talk to cities. Even as a kid with Hawksmoor, I didn't really understand what that meant. Like, what do you mean his power is he can talk to cities? He just understands. All I knew was Hawksmoor, he didn't wear shoes. He had like metal on the bottom of his feet, and he wore suits, and he could talk to cities, whatever that meant. I read a lot of the issues, read a lot of the stories, but for whatever reason, even today, I still don't 100% grasp the idea of what that actually means. But I'm curious, and I'm curious for City Boy here, as I guess there's probably going to be some I mean, there's got to be some sort of relation, right? I mean, apart from just, hey, we just both happen to be able to talk to cities. Cool. It's not strange at all. So maybe there's a relation of some kind. That I'm not sure about, because again, not keeping up with everything. I try my best to keep up with as much as I can, but can't keep up with everything. But that said, I am intrigued by this City Boy, particularly this cover. I like the the kind of Japanese style there with the art. It's I can't forget the name of what it's called, the calligraphy. It's got a specific name. I'm just drawing a blank as I'm sitting here right now. But that said, another book that I'm keeping an eye out, and this is also the Asian American Pacific Islander month special. I didn't have enough time to cut DC shorts covering the Asian American month, so maybe I'll save those for next year. Since I did Marvel, maybe we'll save DC for next year, because like I said, we're running out of time in May, and I already got a bunch of other shorts already planned, so couldn't get to these DC ones. But I do like some of these covers, like this one and the next one. This is another Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month variant, and it's for Green Arrow #2. I like it. It kind of has the same vibe as like those Nakayama Color Bleed variants, of which this book does have one. It's the red Arsenal. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's Arsenal. But this one's slightly better. I like the shadow there. I like the, I don't know if it's the sun or the moon that's behind them, but I don't think it really matters. Either way, I dig this cover. Next, I also like this Jenny Frison. We talked a bit about this a little bit on SNS. I like it. I like Jenny Frison's style. I get it. A lot of her covers can look very similar with the poses and like the that she chooses, and even the color palettes a lot of times. But this one in particular, the color palette is off the wall. it's different. This more matches a couple of the other Harley Quinn covers that she's done. She's done a couple that have had these bright colors with the the bubble bath one in particular kind of jumps out in my mind. But this is kind of fun. And I think it was Sam who pointed out the Batman 89 little reference there. Look at the little clown balloon down below. Like, I didn't notice it at first, but now that I see it, I think it makes it even better. So I like this cover. But like I said, I'm a Frizen fan, so I would be getting this anyway. But this is definitely one that caught my eye for this week. And as much as I give DC foil like a lot of crap, sometimes it can be done well. And I think I'm intrigued by this foil cover for Doom Patrol because, Robot Man, this would scream a good opportunity to use foil, and it would actually, boost, the subject matter here. So his golden metal like face would be cool in foil. So I'm curious of how this is actually going to come out. Even that dulled DC foil will probably work with this because, again, he's not like the shiniest, newest robot in the world. So that could play into its favor. Only problem with this is you're paying $2 extra for that foil as opposed to the cover A and then $1 more than the cardstock cover, because this is $6.99. You don't get that foil. This will cost you $7. So we'll have to see how good that foil is, but it is worth watching. So that's why it's on my watch list. Moving out of DC, we're going to go hop on over to Image for a second, and Dead Romans. There's actually, like the Last Barbarians, these Dead Romans covers have been great. Like, there's been a lot of solid covers. I can't cover them all. I'm not going to do the multiple thing, but for whatever reason, this dude just looks intimidating. Like, it's just an intimidating looking cover. Just that little glint, glint of the eye underneath the I can't think of the name of the helmet, the Roman head, the Centurion helmet, I guess. Just something about it. It's pretty cool. So I like it. Definitely keeping an eye on this one. This is the cover B for that title. Another indie, I guess, or non big two publisher that we're gonna look at here is a Dynamite book, and yes, it's a Vampirella. So the Vampirella versus the Superpowers, which is kind of fun. But this is a Sozomaika cover. It's gorgeous. I like it. Just like this, it's great. Granted, there are probably 3 more versions of this because I think there's a virgin version. I think there's a black and white version or a partial color version. It's Dynamite, so there's way too many options. I wish they would just give us one. Give us one for each piece of art. That's a cover. So this is a cover A. This is a cover B. This next one, you can't have 5 different covers and then give us 5 different versions of each. That's way too much. That's really just watering everything down, because then who cares about a 1 in 7 or a 1 in 10 or a 1 in 20 because it's the same cover. I don't know. It's just infuriating trying to keep track of all the covers. But it is still good art. So I can appreciate the art here. And I will try to get one of them if I can. And like I said, this is Sozomaika cover. I dig it. It actually looks a little bit different from the style we've seen from her recently. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just with the empty background. I don't know. You could just focus in on the figure alone, whatever it might be. I like it. I like it. And to kind of finish off this segment, we do have 2 Star Wars covers that I like, both for hyperspace stories of all things, because I like Ventress. So I like this Ventress and Dooku going head to head. I like the angle. I see the intensity there. I dig it. So I'll try to get this one. But I also like this one too. I mean, it's not as good as the first one, but it's still a cool Ventress cover. She's there in the shadows, got her hood up. You got, Obi-Wan and Anakin there. I was about to say Luke, but Obi-Wan and Anakin there, and she's just, hanging around the corner. I like it. I like it. So gonna keep an eye out for it. But if I had to choose between the two, I'll probably go with the first one over this one. But I still think they're both worth a look. Now, I had to change this second print category to now later print because we're getting a couple thirds. We had a couple thirds last week, but we're getting them again. So we're just going to make this now later print. So this is just the lookout for these later printings, second printings, third printings, etc. that will be released this week, because as you know, sometimes these things can draw interest. I like collecting them when they have new and unique kind of art. And because I just like covers and I like cover art and I like comic books. So even though these are reprints, I view these as reprints. I don't consider second prints first appearances of characters, because the first print is the first appearance. This is just a reprint of that first appearance. That said, I still like them and I still like to collect them. So let's talk about them. First up, we have this, a Scout Comics. Surprise, Scout's got a second print coming, but Midnight Western Theater has this cover, which I don't recall the first title. Again, I don't keep up on my indies like I used to. It's just limited time. I do 7 shows here on the channel almost every week, so it's my time's limited. So can't keep up with everything, but I do kind of like this. I don't know. Something about the skeleton horse and she's riding there. I don't know. I kind of like it. So I'm curious. So this kind of caught my eye. So this second printing. I might have to go look to see what the first print looked like and what the options there were and find out what the story's about because like I said, I don't really know. If it's good, again, comments, let me know. Share. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk comics. It's community after all. Everybody's got a little special, special segment, things that they specialize in, and share it with everybody. And if stuff is good, let's talk about it. If stuff's bad, let's give other people a heads up too, so they can at least consider it before deciding where to put their money. That said, Indigo Children also has a second print for this number 2. Not been keeping up with this, but pretty cool cover. I have been keeping up with Ambassadors. I like this series. It's a fun read. I mean, not every issue has been a hit, but by and large, I'm enjoying this story and looking forward to the next. So we have a third print now for issue 1. And you've seen some of the prices have gone up on the first for number 1 and number 2. So keep an eye out for them. Who knows what's going to happen to the second prints now that we're getting a third. But we are getting a third, and we are getting a second print for issue 3. So we now have 3 printings for number 1, a second print for 2, a second print for number 3. We'll see what happens as the series goes on, because I believe we're also getting issue, are we at 4 or are we at 5? But we got a new issue also coming this week, apart from the later printings. And that's, again, why I think I need to do a reader segment here as part of this watch list, because there are books like Ambassadors I'm looking forward to reading. And like I said, Nightwing is another one that I'm keeping an eye out to make sure I read. But the covers didn't really go, wow, I need to put that in my cover list. So that's why they didn't have a final place. So I got to create a new place. But that'll be for next week. Anyway, Nemesis also is getting a third printing for its number 1. So Nemesis Reloaded, I just talked about on Dollar Bin Digging, the 5th issue, I believe, that had Wesley Gibson returning and from Wanted. Interesting what Millar's doing there, or Miller's doing with tying his universe and characters all together. We'll see where this is going to go. But Nemesis has a third printing coming out this week, for number 1 for this Reloaded series, and then issue 4 is getting a second print. So try to keep up with everything of how many printings and what's getting reprinted where. There we go. This week, we got number 1 with a third, number 4 with a second. We'll see if number 5 warrants a second printing as well. And then I believe we also talked about this cover on SNS last night. This Guardians number 1 second print. Yeah, this ain't great. It's not a great cover, but it's coming out, so I wanted to share it. But yeah, it looks like a Drangier on fire, but it's not. I don't know, but there it is. No incentive for this one. It's just a regular old second print. But I think there were plenty of the first print out, so I don't know why we needed a second print to begin with. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe were your shop sold out? Because I could swear I saw plenty of copies of Guardians 1 still out there, so I didn't think we needed another printing. But hey, what do I know, right? Now, let's move on to our last segment. Let's talk about our incentives. Not a lot. Again, not a lot this week, but enough that I'm interested, and I did order a few of these because, well, I like collecting these things. First one I want to talk about took me by surprise because I forgot this title was coming, let alone I didn't know it was going to have a 1 in 10 incentive. But we have Street Fighter 6 number 1. So Street Fighter 6 is getting a new comic series from Udon, I don't know how you say it, but other variants as well. But this is the 1 in 10 by Joe Chen, and this is I don't want to say a rehash, but a callback to the original Joe Chen that was done in like 2003. So 20 years ago, we got this Street Fighter number 1 with Chun-Li on the cover, and now we have this newer version. I think it's pretty cool. I like the callback. Now I got to kind of make sure I get both because I don't think I have the original from 2003, so I got to go looking for it. There's a foil version, and then there's a regular cardstock version, I think from Dynamic Forces or something. Quick research, that's what I saw. So I think there's a couple versions of it, but gonna go looking, see if I can find one for a decent price. But I did make sure I ordered this 1 in 10 because I like it. That said, pre-sales, interesting. Pre-sales on this 1 in 10 already sold double ratio, $20, ratio and a half there at 15, and then one sold for 40 all the way back in April. That seems a bit excessive, and I'll show you why. And that $20 was also sold on the 19th, which was only a couple days ago. So a couple days ago, this sold for double ratio. Asking prices on this book right now, there were only a couple copies listed, and the asking prices on this 1 in 10 were asking $40 and $60. That's interesting, right? Like, we'll see. This could be one that's kind of hot this week. But as of right now, as of today, Sunday, as I'm filming this, so it might help out you members who are watching this. You get a jump start on this. If you're interested, Midtown has these for $10. No cover image, but this is the Joe Chen, foil. I forgot to mention this is also a foil cover, foil 1 in 10, and it's pretty close to ratio. It's only $10.80. So I actually bought a couple of copies from Midtown today while I was ordering. It's like, oh, I'm into this for right around ratio, and like I said, I'll get an extra just to have it. And so we'll see what happens. So there's your tip if you're seeing this early. Hopefully, there's still copies there because there were when I was putting this deck together. There were still copies available, so they were still out there for a decent price. If you're interested, I'm not pressuring anybody into this. I'm just saying, let's see what happens. I just like it for the cover alone. That said, Dungeons and Dragons Saturday morning cartoons. I like these. That first one heated it up, so it got everybody crazy about getting the second one. I think by now people have probably forgotten about it. The poor Dungeons and Dragons movie is now free on Paramount Plus. I still think it's a good movie. I suggest you watch it. I think it's a lot of fun. Go check it out. I'm still going to get these comics. I ordered these. I ordered the incentives because, again, I like collecting these things. And I collected the G.I. Joes. I got even some of the Turtles. But for the Dungeons and Dragons and the G.I. Joes, I got all of the covers because that's the weird compulsion collector that I am. So I made sure I ordered all of these to begin with. So that's just for my PC. It's not investing or anything like that. It's just I want them for myself. But that said, this is a 1 in 10 that's coming out for issue 3. Wonder if the aftermarket's going to take as much interest as they did in issue 1, where it was hitting like 60, $80. Now this one, pre-selling, you can find cheap copies for like under ratio at $8. There's $20 copies. There's $25 copies that are sold recently. Asking prices on this, $15 to $25. So it's a 1 in 10. So they are all asking both above ratio prices, but not crazy asks like that number 1. These I think are a little bit more, more cautious, I guess, with the pricing. They're hoping they can sell these at a little bit of a bump, but they probably would accept closer to that ratio mark if they needed to, because they want to sell books after all. And with that said, yeah, it's up to you what you want to do with it. As I said, I already pre-ordered one to make sure that I was getting it because I'm just that kind of collector. Like I said, just the compulsion had me have to get all of them. So regardless of what the aftermarket does, I had to get one ahead of time. So I ordered it. That said, moving on to our next little incentive, we have this series I'm not reading. I think it's a Boom series. This is the Horror, and this is issue 4. This is a 1 in 15 Virgin cover for this. There are a couple other really creepy incentive like Virgin covers in the 1 in 10, 1 in 15 kind of like range for the other issues of this series. I bring that up because when I went searching for this, I couldn't find any that had sold, nor could I find any that were available for this particular 1 in 15. And at least one of the shops, again, I'm thinking Midtown because that's the last place I just was when doing the shopping. Like I said, I showed you the Street Fighter, and I ordered from the Street. I ordered the Street Fighter. I ordered that. What was that other cover I talked about or before the beginning of this? The Betsy Cola, the Hellcat, because I wanted it. I ordered the Warlock because I liked it. So I already placed a Midtown order just before filming this because I was looking ahead and figured, let me order some stuff. That said, this was already sold out there. So if you are a collector of these horror type covers, you're gonna have to get lucky and look at some other places. Go check out maybe some of the other bigger stores, Graham Cracker, maybe Golden Apple. You could probably look at things Tfaw, Things from Another World. My comic shop, you'll have to wait till like last minute because they don't post their books until like the night before, I think, or is it the day of? My comic shop gets really late with when they put their, the new incentives and those types of things available. So that's like the last place, the last stop before going to your actual LCS. But outside of that, I think this is a pretty cool cover. Like the detail work on all that blood and gore, and even just the fabric and the like emaciated kind of face, because you can see that that's like withering skin that's covering that skull. I like it. It's cool. So that's why I picked this out. Like I said, I'm not reading this title. I don't know much about it. It's just this cover image caught my eye and thought it was interesting. No copies are sold. No copies are available. So I can't tell you what the market is or may be on this, but I think it's worth watching because none available or sold could be tougher to find because I don't know how many people are reading it or how many shops are ordering. So could be tough. Could be one if it hits to keep an eye out for. That said, I mentioned before, I am a fan of David Nakayama. So yes, I like this Harley. I like the classic costume Harley. I like that it's a Nakayama. I dig it. I made sure I ordered 2 of these today. I just made an offer. They were on eBay. I was like, oh, they had a couple of copies. I'm like, you know what? I'll take 2. Utah, give me 2. I don't know why. Sometimes I like to get an extra because sometimes I give those extras away to you viewers. I give you the stuff that I like because I buy it. I buy the stuff that I like, and if when I have extras, I tend to give it away. Sure, I might try to sell it occasionally. If it gets really hot, I'm like the rest of you. I will try to sell it and get a couple extra bucks. But by and large, I probably give away more books than I sell. But, don't tell my wife. That said, 1 in 25, issue 30. I dig it. Like, I like the colors. The red really pops on this with that bluer background, and the blue background here of my screen also helps her kind of jump out at you. But this is one, yeah, keeping an eye on too. I mean, apart from I'm going to get my copies, it's not selling for a ton, so don't get crazy. Don't get FOMO. I mean, $20. Yes, there were some ratio 25 and even a $37 sale, but $20, so right around ratio is where I've seen copies selling. Asking prices were, again, there's $25. That was where actually I made the offer for the 2 copies there, and I think they still had another copy or 2 left, but for $25, so I got them a little under. There's a pre-sale for a 9.8, sure, and then there's just a random $100 one, and then there's a $70 one. So there are some higher asks right now. We'll see come Tuesday once copies hit people's hands and where the prices actually kind of fall. But for now, seems to be trending in the higher direction, or at least the asks are. Now, one more for DC. We're going back to City Boy. This is the highest ratio of the bunch there. There is a 1 in 25 as well. It's okay. And the cover I showed you before is, like I said, like the B cover, the Asian American cover. This is the 1 in 50 design cover. They've been doing a lot of these for the higher incentive ratios. Apart from giving us the foil that I hate, they've been doing a lot of these design covers, which are meh. I don't hate them, but I hate that they're the highest ratio. I really wish this was just cooler art. Like, I would have taken that Asian American Pacific Islander art on the 1 in 50, and I would have thought that would have been an awesome cover and would have paid whatever it cost. But maybe not whatever it cost. But you know what I'm saying. I would have considered it. But here, this is a 1 in 50. Keeping an eye on it because, like I said, I'm curious what's going to happen with this character and where this, these high incentive ratios for like an unknown character getting their own title, where they're going to go. Because who knows how many shops order. Most aren't going to order 50. So no pre-sales as well on this. But there are a few asking prices that are pretty high, considering it's a 1 in 50. So $90 is the cheapest, another $90, and then a $120 ask. Will they get those marks? I don't know, but it's worth keeping an eye on, which is why it's on the watch list. Like I said, interested in what happens, but it's not really for me personally. Even with the whole something is killing the children mask thing, he's got going on there. Next, we got a couple Star Wars books. Now, I know Star Wars incentives can be hit and miss, so we'll see. Like that second print, Boba Fett, Jabba's Palace seems to have been a hit, but then there's plenty of others where nobody seems to care with some of these incentives. Just like the Yoda. The Yoda 6, everybody loved it. Yoda 7, maybe not so much. And then, ebbs and flows. So let's see where we ebb and flow with this Vader black, white, and red number 2. This is the 1 in 25 for number 2. I kind of dig it. I just like the layout. I love the 3 color and the way the 3 colors play together here, especially with that red sky and that snowy ground. I think it's awesome. I like it. I don't know. I just like it. I like it. I like the size of Vader there, how it allows the background to kind of flow with the clouds. I don't know. I like it. That's all I'm saying. And for that, well, pre-sales, 25, 35, 45 was the most recent sale, and that was last week on the 17th. 45, that's pretty interesting for 1 in 25 already. Pre-sales now. Obviously, these are pre-sales. Don't let these influence you too much because a lot of times pre-sales will tell you the wrong story. And then come Wednesday when people have them in hand, there's plenty to be had. So that's how you can tell. Like I'll tell you about it on the watch list ahead of time saying, hey, this is what to keep an eye on, but doesn't mean you have to go get it because come Thursday when I do the top 10 in 10, we'll see if that price has increased or dipped. And most times they fall back down. So don't get FOMO. It's not why I do this. And you can see even here, there's a copy available, $20. So $20, $5 shipping, and they'll accept offers. So maybe you can get it under ratio if you make an offer. So there's an option if you're into this. I'm curious. I might think about it. I might even think about it after I'm done filming this. I don't know. But I did buy a lot of books today. Because apart from that, I think I mentioned Nakayama. I think, who was it? Send me an alert. I think it was Bird City might have had Battle Chasers Nakayama cover, and I think I ordered that too. Because one, I'm a big fan of Battle Chasers because I love Joe Mad, and like I said, I like Nakayama. So I bought a book from them. So go take a look if you're interested. That said, moving on to our next Star Wars book. This one I'm going to be wary of. This is Star Wars High Republic number 10. This is the 1 in 25 for number 10. This is going to get that follow-up heat. Everybody loved that. I mean, I liked it too. The Aja, that came out, the 1 in 25, I liked it too. That one spiked, so everybody thinks, oh, well, the next issue is probably going to be a good one too. So then it causes some pre-sale prices here, $20, $25, $35, and even some of the asks here now asking $45, $50, $75, thinking it's going to be a repeat of that Aja cover. But I don't think that's the case. I personally am really distracted by the fact that he's got Lionel's Thundercat Claw on his arm. I just can't get past that, and I don't know. I just can't get over it. So, yeah, I'm not paying these prices for this personally. That's just a personal thing. But then again, I don't usually chase the incentives, and I'm actually disappointed that I didn't get the Aja because I do like David Aja, and I did like that cover. I thought about getting it, but even like some of the pre-sale prices at the time were above ratio, and I don't like paying above ratio unless I love it, and I hesitated. Now maybe I might regret it a little bit, but I can also live with the fact that I don't own everything. Can't own everything, and it just gives me something to keep looking out for, something to keep hunting, and seeing if I can get it for cheap somewhere down the line, because I don't plan on throwing in the towel and giving up collecting anytime soon. So just because I miss a book the week it comes out, I'm gonna keep looking. I'm gonna keep looking. Hey, it's been how many years now since Ghost Spider 1, that Inhyuk Lee, that 1 in 100 came out? I balked because of a 1 in 100 price. I wasn't gonna be paying that when it came out. Yeah, that thing spiked. It's like a couple $1,000s now. Does that mean I'm gonna, go spend whatever it takes to get it? No. Do I still want it? Yeah. So I can be patient. I can be patient. We'll see. Maybe one day I'll get it. Maybe one day I won't. But I'll keep looking. And I don't know. That's just how I collect. So you guys feel free to do what you want to do. But I just don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So I'm in no rush. I'm not going nowhere. So I'm happy to watch. I'm happy to be the watcher. That said, here's our next one. Going back to Storm. I told you, I like Storm. Actually, I did put this one on my Midtown order too, because, well, we'll get to that in a second. This one's not going crazy as far as prices go. It's 1 in 25. It's a Torrin Clark cover, I believe. There's some pre-sales, 15, 20. One's over $4.80. Kind of jealous of that one right there. Granted, that was back in April, so that was pretty cheap and pretty early pre-sale. And then some of the asking prices right now, asking $15, $20, $30. This is a 1 in 25. I think Midtown, what I paid for was around like 13. So again, that's kind of where I like to be, right around half ratio a lot of times, or less if I can. Sometimes I'll pay ratio if it's a lower end ratio, like those Street Fighters. It's $10 for a 1 in 10. Sure, I'm in for that. That said, I like this. I don't know. I like it. She's rocking it on the motorcycle, lightning behind her. Got the mohawk. I dig the mohawk look. Thought it was cool, so I ordered one. I do not expect this to be going up because of the amount of Storm number ones there's going to be, because I'm sure there's a couple of store variants. There's some shops that no matter what the title is, they do incentives. There's bound to be plenty of incentives out there, a little extra more than normal. And I think the Storm title probably already has a bump to begin with. And the next book is probably going to make the 1 in 25 pale in comparison. So I don't expect the prices to go up on this. But if you like it, like I liked it, look, see if you can find a cheap copy. But like I said, the next one, the 1 in 100 for this book, is that virgin version of the Art Germ. It's gorgeous. I'll admit it is. But it's 1 in 100. I don't like paying 1 in 100 prices. I just don't want to pay close to $100. It's just too much for a brand new book for me. I just don't like spending my money that way. But here it is. Trade dress, I'm fine. Especially when you got a trade dress version, I'm fine paying $4 or $5 for this and not having that virgin, because it's got Storm written on it. I can deal with a barcode. I'm cool with that, and saving that extra, $70 to $80 that it's going to take to get one of these, if you can get it for that price. Because pre-sales, I couldn't find any. So none have pre-sold yet for this 1 in 100. And I think part of that has to do with some of these asking prices are pretty steep. Granted, 140 may not be too bad. 175, 230. Ugh. I mean, they're all well above ratio for this 1 in 100. And again, I think there's going to be copies out there. So I keep an eye on this, but don't don't go getting crazy. And if I'm wrong and you just shoots up and all of a sudden by next week this is a $200-300 book and it's on the top of hot 10 lists, you can say, oh, Pete, you were wrong. But I'd rather be wrong and have that extra money in my pocket than advise you guys to go and spend extra money on something that you can get for much cheaper in a week or two. So I don't know. I'm taking the gamble because, like I said, I don't want to buy in to begin with. Even if this was at ratio at $100, that's still too steep for me for a brand new release book. That's just me. You hobby how you want to hobby. I'm just telling you my perspective on things and take it for what it is. That said, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you find this series helpful still. Hopefully, I gave you something to think about. And hopefully I gave you some cool books to keep an eye out for too. And hopefully you're just keeping this hobby fun. Let's not make it all about the money. I know money's a big factor in this, but it doesn't need to be all of what it's all about. Let's enjoy these comics for what they are. So thanks for stopping by and checking this out. Plenty more content coming your way. I got to go hop on over. Star Wars Tales from the Dark Side show is starting in a few minutes. I'm going to see if I can get in there on time. I'll still probably end up being a little bit late, but we'll see. And I still got to film Hidden Gems for later on Monday night because I still have a Hidden Gems for you guys planned out. And I still got to get Chasing Ghosts ready for Tuesday. So still lots to do here. But I love doing this stuff. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying it. And with that, I will see you guys soon with some more content. All right, later.